If you want a clean, bold, really simple website for your business like this one, I'm going to show you how to create a beautifully simple WordPress website just like that in less than an hour without any coding, using the best drag and drop builder out there. And best of all, everything I show you today is going to be absolutely 100% free. Whenever I talk to new clients and ask them what kinds of websites they like and what kind of website they want for themselves, Apple.com always comes up. It comes up all the time. So I think what people like about Apple's website is just how clean it is while still being really bold and graphic. So that is going to be our inspiration today. And I do want to stress that I'm just going to be walking you through the physical steps to create the site. We're not getting into content and what you should put on your website. So if you want that kind of help, you don't want to miss my free on-demand video training masterclass, how to create and launch your own profitable client-generating website. So that's where you're going to learn exactly what you need to put on your site. So just click the link in the description down below to get into that extra special training. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so assuming you have a WordPress website already, we're here in the dashboard. And if you don't have one already, I just want you to go to wesmcdowell.com/hosting, and that's going to take you to my preferred host that I use for myself and all my clients. And I am an affiliate for that, so I will get a commission if you click through to that, but I would appreciate that. And I do recommend that hosting very much. You just get managed WordPress hosting and get WordPress installed in just a few clicks, and then you'd meet me back right here. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to add a plugin called Elementor. So just go to Plugins, Add New. And Elementor is what lets us drag and drop and make this page building really super easy on us. So just click on, or just type in Elementor and Elementor Page Builder. Just click on Install Now. And this is absolutely free, by the way. And then just click on Activate. And the next thing we want to do is set our themes. So just go down to Appearance and Themes. And mine is already set up on Hello Elementor. So if you don't have that already, which if you haven't put it in there, you don't, just type in Hello Elementor there, and then you would click right on here. There'd be another button that would say to install, and you just go through that and you're all set. Okay, so let's create our page. Go over to Pages, Add New, and I'm just going to give this page a title because this is our bold website. I'm just going to type in bold. And then under Page Attributes, I'm going to click on Elementor Canvas and then Edit with Elementor. Okay, so first things first, we're going to add our header. So I'm just going to click on the plus icon and I'm going to choose a 3-column layout for this. And then I'm going to click on this little grid icon right up here. And I'm going to find an image. I'm going to drag the image into the first column. Don't worry, we'll make this look better in a second. I'm going to go back to the grid. And I'm going to try to find an icon list. So find the icon list and then drag it into the second column. And we're going to leave the third column blank for now. We'll fill that in a little bit later. So this is going to be our logo, and this is going to be our menu, and this is going to be our call to action button. So let's go ahead and get this thing styled a little bit. So click on the grid right here. So you're editing this whole section. I'm going to click on Style, and then Background Type. I'm just going to click on Classic. And then color, I'm just going to set it to black. And let's go ahead and style and put in the right image here for the logo. So just click on that. And then over here on the left, this is where you're going to do most of your editing, by the way, on this left panel. And this, just click on Choose Image. And I've already got some images put in here, but if you don't already, you're just going to take the file and just going to drag it right here, and it's going to upload for you. So I've got this logo file. I'm just going to insert that. And let's go ahead and left justify that. And let's also make it a little smaller. So I'm going to click on image size. It's set to large. I'm going to do custom, and I'm going to make it maybe about 70 pixels high. Click apply, and that looks pretty good. Now and this is one thing you want to be able to do too, is you can drag these columns around so this can have a little bit more room. So let's go ahead and style this icon list to really look more like a menu. So just click on the little pencil icon right here. And for each one of these, you're basically just going to want to put in the text for different pages and then link to your pages here. So for instance, I might have About Us, and then I would link to the about page, just like that. And I actually don't want any icons in here with this list, so I'm just going to click on the trash can. And then let's go ahead and do the same thing for the other remaining items. So list item 2, let's say that's services, and then delete the icon. And then list item 3, let's call that testimonials, and delete the icon as well. Then if you want to add a new one, you'll just click on add item, or you can clone one. If you like the styling of what you've already got, just click on clone it, that icon right here, and then I would just edit that one individually. Let's just say blog. And then, but notice it's still in a vertical format here. If you want to change it to all in one row, just click on inline right here. Perfect. And then let's click up on style. Let's change, let's give it a little bit of space between each item, a little bit more space. That looks better. And we'll align it to the right. And then we'll make the text white. So click on text, text color, and then just choose white. And notice how it's a little too close to the top. So the way we change that is we choose this whole section by clicking on this grid right here, and then layout. And here we go to vertical align. So what we want to do is choose middle, and that makes everything between the logo and the text and then the button that goes over here, it's going to make it all aligned perfectly in the middle. Okay, so before we go any further, I want to take care of one thing, and that's the font that we're going to use throughout the website. So the way you do this is you click on this icon over here and go to default fonts, and here's where you can control the headlines, the secondary headlines, the body text, and the accent text. So let's go through. I've decided I want to choose, and by the way, you can look up Google fonts online. There are thousands to choose from. So find the ones that make the most sense and feel the best for your particular brand. And you just go here and you can find all of them in here. There's just so many to choose from. So I found the one called Mully, and I'm going to use that one. I like it how that one looks. And for the primary headline, I'm going to go with a really bold 900. That's the weight. That's the higher the number, the bolder it is. The secondary headline, I'm just going to do Mully all the way through. Body text as well. And you can see as I did that, it changed this text right up here. All right, so then, and very important, you have to click on apply or it's not going to keep track of those changes. So now let's go to work on the rest of the website. We get to have a little more fun here. So I'm just going to click on the plus sign and choose a one column layout. From there, I'm going to go up to the grid and drag a heading widget right over here, and then a text editor right underneath that, followed by a button. So let's grab that and put it right under here. And of course, this is not looking like a website yet, but let's work on that. First thing, let's add the background image to this. So I'm going to click right up here to these 6 dots, and then on style. So there's a lot of different ways you can do a background. You can just make it a color, if you want to just pick a color, or you can do a gradient. That's probably the ugliest gradient I've ever seen, but there it is. And you can do a video even if you wanted to. But let's go back to classic, and then you can choose an image. So just click right here, and I've already picked one out. So I'm going to click right on that and then insert media. And what you want to do in most cases is go down to size and then choose cover. That's going to make it just the right size to cover the entire screen. But now so let's choose this section again, these 6 dots, go to layout, and you've got a few choices here too. What you can do is do the height to fit to screen, which is like whenever people get to your website, it'll just resize to their screen, or you can do a minimum height, which means you can make it a set height. So I'm just going to do, I like 600. But then, of course, it's hard to read this text on this image, right? So let's choose the section, go back to Style, Collapse Background, and we go to Background Overlay. So here we're going to choose Classic. You can choose a gradient on top of it as well, but this is just simpler. Then Color, I'm going to choose Black, and I think that looks pretty good. And let's just do what we can with the text here. Starting with the headline, click on that. And here's where you would add in your headline. I'm just going to keep the dummy text here for now. And then just click on Style, Text Color, I'm going to choose white. And then Typography. So here's where you can choose the size. You can make it as big as you want. You can make the weight, you can make it thin if you want, or bold, to like basically you're overriding the settings you set before, but I'm just gonna I don't want to do that. I'm just gonna go to default. Actually, just for fun, let's go ahead and make it a little like semi-bold rather than bold. I think that's gonna look a little better. Yeah, that's good, I like that. Now if we want to center that, we just go up to Content and choose Alignment Center. And then we're going to do the same thing for the text editor. So just click the normal text here, and then on Style, we're going to do alignment in the center, text color white, typography, let's bump up the size a little bit so it's easier to read, maybe to 20. I'm going to make it a little thinner than it is now. I think that looks good. And then the buttons. So we're just going to click right on that. And I like a nice big call to action button. So I'm going to choose extra large. And I'm going to change the text to Get Started. And I'm going to add an arrow icon next to it. So just click on Icon Library. And you can choose any icon you want, but I like for a call to action just a nice simple arrow. So I'm going to choose that one and click on Insert. And I'm going to switch the icon position to after the text. And here's where you would link that to whatever page. So it might be if you have a page called Get Started, I would just link it to that. And now we're going to go to Style. We're going to really style this thing up and make it look right. So typography first. The first thing I want to do is transform it to uppercase. I like a nice all uppercase call to action. I think it's bolder that way. Weight, I'm going to make it a little thinner. Let's go with 300. Okay, so now after we've done the typography, let's go with a black text color. And then the background color, I've decided I want to make this really bold yellow color. I like that. I think it stands out. And so with the call to action button, you can have it be squared off completely. You can have, basically this one has like a little bit of a rounded corner, but I actually want to go with more of a pill shape here. So I'm just going to crank this up all the way. And then typography, I'm just going to make the text a bit smaller. I think it's a little much as it is now. I think that's good. And now go to Content and just center align that. All right, so let's check out how this looks. If you ever want to just get the look at it without all the stuff on the side, click on this little arrow. We can take a look. All right, so one thing that's bothering me, I think it's the text area is a little too wide, so I'm going to narrow that up. And I think I'm actually going to make the background overlay a little bit darker as well, just to make the text and the button really pop. So let's choose this section, and we'll go to Layout first. And it's already a boxed content. So what we're going to do is we can choose how wide we want the text to be. I like something like this. I like something around 800 pixels wide. It's less straining on the eyes, so they don't have to go back and forth so far. And then I'm going to go on Style, and then Background Overlay. And the opacity, here's where you set you can make it really light or you can make it really dark. So I'm going to make it about like that. I think that makes everything else pop much better. And notice how when you scroll down, the image scrolls with it. I like to do it this way. So let's go back to background, and we will go down under the image and we'll click on attachment, and I'm going to click on fixed. So here's what happens now. When you scroll down, the image stays in place, and I think that's just a cooler effect. All right, and remember how this section up here is blank because we're going to put the button there, but let me show you how to do it. Just right click over there and just click on copy, and then right up here, right click on paste. And then you've got the button right there. So I'm going to just edit this slightly so it works better in the header. Just click on the little pencil and then just go to size and take it from extra large to small. And that looks much more appropriate for in that space. And I'm just going to do a little cleanup to the sizing here. Okay, so moving on, now we're going to add a little services section. So what I want you to do is you're going to click on the plus sign, and we're going to start with a one column layout. And just click the grid up here, and you're going to choose an icon box. So let's find that under General and just drag it right in place. And let's just make sure that's selected. And here's where we can change the icon and the text. So I'm just going to type in, service here. So here's where you type in whatever that is, and then you would find an appropriate icon to go along with it. Let's go ahead and choose a subway here and click on Insert. And of course, this is where you would put in the description text there. And you can leave all these other options as they are. If you wanted to link to that service page, you could do that right here. Okay, so now we need to style this thing. So the first thing we're going to do is click on this column icon right here. So the gray edit column button, click that, and then go to style and background type classic, and we're going to choose our color here. I'm going to choose a nice blue color. So let's click that. I'm just going to type in the code here, but you can find it how you can use this color picker however you want to do that. So now let's style the actual the content itself. So click on this blue pencil. And so we've picked out the icon, but there's a few ways we can show it. We can do default, we can do stacked, which is where it goes on top of a color as in a frame, or we can do framed. And I'm going to go with framed. I like how that looks. And now let's go up to style. And first we style the icon itself. So use the primary color. Let's just choose white. And there's really no secondary color for this layout. Spacing, let's see here. Yeah, so that controls the spacing between the icon and the title. And we can control the size as well. So let's just make it a little bit smaller. That looks good to me. And you could rotate it if you wanted to. I don't see any reason to. And let's collapse icon. Let's go with the content now. So the title, let's choose color and let's choose white for that. And then let's mess with the typography. I think it's a little bold. So I might want to do weight 400. And size, I'm going to make it just a tad smaller. I think that looks nice. And then we need to mess with the description as well. So choose color, and we're going to choose white for that as well. And I think we're going to make the typography a little bit smaller too. Let's go with 14, and the weight, let's make it 300. So this is only one service. So here's what we can do. We can, what I want to do is have a 3-column layout of services 1, 2, and 3. So go over to the column, the gray button right here, and right click on that and say duplicate. And then once more. So now we've got 3. And obviously for each one you can change the name and the icon. But I want to do a few things. I want to make the edges round, and I want to give a little bit more room between these, and I want to give more breathing room inside of the boxes themselves, because right now everything looks a little cramped. So I'm going to choose to edit column right here and go up to advanced. And padding is where we're going to add that nice breathing room inside. So just click on, by the way, if this is showing as linked, all the values are going to be the same, meaning if I go up, it's going to do the same for all of them. If I unlink it, I can, move this one around independently, but I'm just going to go back. And I'm going to make sure these are linked back together. So that looks pretty good to me. And now I want to round the edges. So I'm going to go to style and borders where you do that. So do border radius. You're just going to choose, just make it to where it looks good. I'm just going to eyeball it. That looks about right to me. Maybe just an even 20. And I want to give it a bit of a margin between the boxes. So go back up to advanced, and here's where we do that. So what I'm going to do is unlink these, and I'm going to give it, let's just see what it looks like with a margin of 10 on the right and 10 on the left. Keeping in mind that's going to happen over here too. So I think that actually looks pretty good. So if we want to apply these changes to all 3 of these, here's what we do. Right click on the charcoal color icon, and then click on copy. And then come here, paste style, and over here, paste style. And now there's a few things you could do here. You could give it a bit of a margin, so it's in this white space. I actually want to do something a little bit different. What I want to do is have these boxes overlap this hero section. So I'm going to click on the section itself and go up to advanced. And then in margin, I'm going to unlink the values, and I'm going to go into the negative with margins. And I'm going to pull it up ever so slightly. So let's take a look at this. This is what we've got so far. We've got the hero section and then a nice overlaid services section as well. All right, moving right along down the page, let's add our next section, which is just going to be a really simple way for you to have a nice headline and a few short paragraphs of text to explain who you are as a business. So what we're going to do this time is a little different. We're not going to do it from scratch. We're going to use a pre-made block. So click on the little folder icon here, and then over on blocks. And I'm just going to type in features, because that's where I know this particular block lives. And I'm going to choose this one right here. So just click on insert. So just because you're using a block doesn't mean you can't modify what it is. So I'm going to do a few things here. I'm just going to get rid of this little line here. I don't think it's needed. I'm going to actually delete this whole column and add a new one from scratch. So let's click on, right click, delete, and then click on this and just add new column. Okay, so what we want to do in this column is just add a simple text editor. So go up to this grid and choose text editor and just drag it into place. And then you change it just by clicking on it. And then here's the text editor over here. I'm just going to type in some dummy text. All right, so notice how much extra space there is here, and it's because the margin is set really high. So just click on this text right here, and then on padding, what you want to do is let's just get rid of this altogether and see where we're at. We might want to give it maybe 30 pixels of padding or something just in case, but I think that looks much better already. And I'm going to go ahead and edit this text here. You can obviously put in whatever you want here, but I'm talking about style. I don't really like this light gray color. Elementor loves this light gray color. It kind of shows up everywhere. I'm just going to choose a more black for that. And same with this text over here. Go to style, text color, black. And I'm going to give this, to make this pop against the other section, I'm going to give this a really light gray background color. So choose the whole section. Go up to Style, Background Type, Color, and I'm just going to play around with this color picker right here until I get something that's very nice and subtle, but still shows enough of a difference. So let's see what that looks like. Yeah, it's a nice little subtle distinction there. But as you can see, it's butting up right against the blue. So make sure the section's chosen and then click on Advanced. And here we're going to give a bit of a margin. Here's what the difference between margin and padding is, by the way. Padding refers to everything inside of a box. So if I'm choosing this whole box, the padding is how far the inner contents can be from the edges. If I did margin, that means how far away things are from the outside of the box. So choose that, Advanced, Margin. I'm going to give the top and bottom 50 pixels each. All right, and I might give this section a little bit of a narrower touch. So click on Layout, and then let's see what looks good. I feel like this looks a little nicer. All right, cool, ready to move on. All right, next we're gonna add a little benefit section. So just click on the plus icon, and we're gonna choose 2 columns. And we're gonna choose under Content Width Box, we're gonna give it a width of 1000 pixels. And the first thing we're going to do is choose an image. So let's drag an image into column 2. And then we're going to drag a few icon boxes. Actually, just one to start. So remember, they're under General. We'll take an icon box and we'll drag it into column 1. And let's see. So what we want to do is take icon position. We can do it on the top. We can do it on the right, or we can do it on the left. And that's what I'm going to do for this. All right, so we're going to give this a little more treatment here, but first we want to set the background color. So choose the column and then click on Style, Background Type Classic, and then I've got a nice, really dark gray color I'm going to choose right there. All right, perfect. So now, all right, so let's style this. So click on the icon box and, choose the right icon. It can be anything. Let's choose a suitcase here, click on Insert. Now let's go up to Style. So for the icon, I'm going to choose a color for that. The same blue color we used before. I think it'll look nice. All right, perfect. And then we can adjust the size however we want it. I feel like that looks nice. And then content. Here's where we do the typography. So starting with the title, let's do the color and make it white. And then typography, let's go ahead and change the weight to 300. And then for the description, we'll also make it white. And we'll change the typography to, let's change it to 14 pixels. Okay, once you have it how you want it, then you're just going to go and right click here and click duplicate, and then duplicate again to have nice 3 benefit structure here. And as you can see though, everything is really close to the edge. We don't want that. So click the column itself, go up to Advanced, and we're going to unlink the value. So what we're going to do is give it a top padding of 50. On the right, we're going to do 100, bottom 50, left 50. And we're also going to give this a bit of a rounded corner look. So go up to Style, Border, and let's give it a border radius of 20 to match the other one. Now let's go ahead and choose our image. So just click right on the placeholder image here and then go over to the left, choose image. And I've got one picked out already. I'm going to click on Insert Media. But what I want is I want for this to kind of overlap with this a little bit. So I'll show you how to do that. So just click that image and go up to Advanced. And in Margin, what we're going to do is unlink the values. And then left, let's do -90. And I also want to give it the rounded corners and a little bit of a drop shadow too. So let's go to Style and Border Radius, let's do 20 again. And then Box Shadows, how we do that. So just click right on that. And here's where you can change, the horizontal and the vertical spacing on the drop shadow. And you can also make it less prominent if you click on that and just drag this slider a little bit. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to blur it a little bit more, make it a little more subtle. And one last thing I want to do here is I want to drop this down a little bit so it's kind of a cooler effect. So I'm going to click on the whole column, go up to Advanced, and I'm going to unlink the values of the margin together. So I'm going to give it a top margin of 50, right 0, I'm going to keep it 0. Bottom, I'm going to do -50. Actually, let's do -30 now that I look at it. And then left, I'm going to keep it 0. So here's what we got. And I actually really like this look. I think it looks pretty cool. So, all right, so now we're going to add a little testimonial section. So just click on the plus icon, and we're going to do a 1-column layout, really simple. And first thing I can see is it's overlapping with this. So we're going to go up to Advanced, and we're going to give this a bit of a margin. So let's try 100 and see what that looks like. And maybe 50 is better. Cool, I like that. So I'm going to go up to the grid, and I'm going to drag out a heading and drop it right in the middle there. And then a text editor right underneath that. I'm going to give it a background, so just go here and up to Style. And we already know how to do this. We've done this already. And we also know how to edit text, so I'm just going to quickly do that really quick. Okay, so now we're going to add in the actual testimonial box. So click on the grid, and we're just going to type in testimonial right here, find that. So drag that right underneath that second line of text. All right, so we want to give this background of the testimonial the blue color treatment. So let's click on that. And for this one, for a testimonial box, you're going to go up to Advanced, and then Background, and then choose Background Classic, and then you're just going to put in the right color. So I've got the color code here. And while I'm in Advanced, I'm just going to go to give this some padding. So let's just see what looks good. I think that feels like enough space. All right, so now let's go to Style. Let's choose what we've got here. So actually, let's go to Content first. Here's where you would paste in your testimonial text. And here's where you choose the image. It's always, I love seeing an image with the testimonial. It's always much more powerful that way. So here's where you fill in their name and their title if you want to do that, or their city name, or 5-star emojis, whatever you want to do. And image position, let's go with on top. Now let's edit the style, starting with the text. So I'm going to choose white for the text color, and then typography. I'm going to make that 14 again. Weight, let's make it a little less bold. Let's give it 300. All right, so now the image, let's make that a little bit bigger. Make a bigger deal of it. And you can give it a border if you want. I'll just do a solid white border. Choose white. And you can choose how thick it is with this, the width right up here. I think that looks fine. And then the name, we're just going to do I'm just going to quickly change the typography here and here. And you should already know how to do that. All right, so let's check out what this looks like. I think it's a little wide, so let's go ahead and choose this entire section. And under layout, we can make that a little less wide. All right, so I want to give this that rounded border, so make sure you're choosing this testimonial box. Go up to Advanced and Border. Border radius, we'll set it to 20. And what I want to do is something interesting where the black kind of cuts off midway through here, just a nice effect. So I'm going to click the whole section, Style, and then Background. Rather than color classic, I'm going to do gradient. But here's what we're going to do. So get rid of this color, just make it white. And then location, so that's not a a subtle gradient, what I want to do is I just want to choose location 50 and then location 50 for that as well. So see what it does? And if you wanted to take it down a little further, we could do 60 and 60. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, and we're going to finish this off with just a nice little a simple call to action section. So I'm going to click on the plus sign and 2 columns, and I'm going to drag down a heading, and I'm going to go back up to the top. I'm going to right click on the button to click copy, and I'm going to paste it right in here. I'm going to give this whole section a bit of a margin around it. So let's go ahead and just choose 100. Let's go with 50. So I'm just going to edit this text. All right, so I've just said ready to take things to the next level. Okay, so now I've got this text how I want it, and I've got the button how I want it. I'm just going to click on the section and layout, and then vertical align middle. Nice and clean, and we're just going to finish things out with a nice little simple footer. So again, click the plus sign, and again, we're going to do a 2-column layout. And I'm just going to drag a text editor into the first column. And then I'm going to go up here, I'm going to type in social icons. And I'm going to drag that widget into the second column. I'm going to make this background the dark gray color. And I'm going to give it some padding within it, and I'm going to change the text color as well, which you already know how to do. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is just show you how to style these social icons. So click that. And you can do, in terms of the shape, you can do rounded, you can do square, you can do a circle. I'm just going to stick with circle. And again, so you've got all these different icons here, and if you choose to add one, you can just choose what you want it to be. There's a bunch of different ones for all the different social networks, so you can always find what you're looking for there. And I'm going to go ahead and align these to the right and click on Style. And instead of official color, I want to do custom. And let's do primary color white. Secondary color, we'll do the same dark gray as the background color. All right, perfect. And then size, we can mess around with the size, however big or small we want them to be. And we can adjust the spacing as well. And then from there, you just go to content and choose each one, and you just link them to your social profiles. So let's click on update. And then I'm just going to click on this little eyeball icon to preview the changes, and we can see exactly what we've built. So this looks pretty good to me so far. Everything looks nice and clean and bold, which is exactly what we were going for. So there's a few more things I want to show you, just if you really want to take things up a notch and make things a little more interesting. There's a few things you can do here. So let's start with this hero section. Let's make this transition a little more interesting. So let's click on the grid here, and we'll go to Style. And what we want to do is go down to Shape Divider. So what we can do is click on Bottom, and then I'm going to click on Tilt. And that does one of these. It makes it a little asymmetrical, and then we can change the height however we want it. So it's just not quite so squared off, which I think is kind of cool. And another thing we can do is add motion effects. So for instance, let's click on this title, and then over on Advanced, and then Motion Effects, Default, and then we've got entrance animation. So it's on default now, meaning none. But what I want to do is fade in down. Let's see what that looks like. So whenever the page loads, it's going to kind of fade in and give it a little animation. Another thing we can do with the button, let's click on that, Advanced, Motion Effects. And what we can do here is give it some attention. So there's all the attention seekers right here. There's bounce or flash, pulse. There's all these different ones we can do. And I would recommend being kind of subtle with it, but I think that looks kind of nice. And then if you wanted to have this section kind of come in from the bottom as you scroll down, just motion effects, and then fade in up. So that comes in there. And then maybe this image can fade in from the right. So it comes in from over there. So let's go ahead and I'm going to click on the preview changes button. All right, so that stuff kind of animates in, and then we come down here and that animates in. So lots of really cool things you can do. Just don't be over the top with it, but it should complement your design. And there we have it, a really nice, bold, clean looking website. And it took less than an hour to build this from scratch. But something's still missing here, and that's the content you want to put into your brand new website. But I've got you covered there too, don't worry. Just click right here to get into my special free training, how to create and launch your own profitable client-generating website. That's where I'm going to show you what you should include and what you should absolutely say on your website that's going to be much more persuasive for way more people to pay you for what you do. So sign up right over here, and I'll see you on the inside.